Well, France's newly elected parliament continues to make adjustments this morning after a shocking result. Over the weekend, the left-leaning coalition party, the New Popular Front, surged forward, snatching a majority win from the far-right National Rally Party. None of the three parties reached the number of seats needed to win the majority in the National Assembly, which means France can expect weeks of potential political instability. President Macron's role as president is not affected, as these elections deal with only parliamentarians and not the role of president. So for more of what all of this means, it's Monday afternoon now in France. We're joined this morning by Paul Waldy. He's the Globe and Mail's Europe correspondent. Welcome to the show.
Hi there.
So it looks like a beautiful day in behind you in France this morning, but I just wanted to set this up for everybody back here at home. There are three main parties: the New Popular Front on the left, Ensemble Alliance in the center, and the National Rally on the right. And the momentum that was looking to hand France a far-right government was stopped by this dash-together effort from the left and the centrists. It was a gamble. It paid off. What are the differences now that this parliament's going to have to figure out in order to govern?
Well, it's really an unprecedented time for France. As you mentioned, none of these blocs won enough seats really to govern on their own. And each of the blocs themselves have differences and are kind of a combination of parties that don't always get along. So it's going to be a really unstable process for the next little while. Macron has to pick a prime minister. He has to name a prime minister, but he doesn't really know who to choose to. The guy who's been prime minister, Gabriel Attal, submitted his resignation today. He's part of Macron's Ensemble coalition, but he's going to stay on in a caretaker role for a little bit anyway. But finding a way forward out of this is going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, you know, that just happened, I guess, less than an hour ago, where there he is, 34 years old. Attal said, I'm out with this new government, and the president asked him to stay on. He says he's going to for the time being. Why would Attal want to leave? And who's waiting in the wings if and when he does?
Well, he has to leave because the governing coalition that he led is gone. You know, Macron's party lost about 100 seats in this election. They came second, but they no longer govern. So he had to step down by tradition. And he has agreed, though, to stay on in a caretaker role. You know, how they're going to pick someone is very, very difficult. The left, as you mentioned, scored a huge victory here. I mean, they were not considered to be anywhere near finishing first. They did finish first. They had 182 seats. But they now are saying it should be someone from their group if he's prime minister, but they can't agree amongst themselves who that should be. It's unlikely Ensemble can put forward a candidate because nobody likes them. And then there's National Rally that everybody ganged up against to prevent from winning enough seats. So nobody's going to support them. So it's just kind of going to be a revolving circus for a little while.
Yeah, let's talk about this. So this momentum that was gaining for the National Rally, I mean, there was a lot of emotion in the speeches afterwards when they didn't win. What is the mood there like this morning? Because, you know, you're hearing language about we were robbed, this was snatched from us. Where does that sit?
They are very angry about what happened. You know, they came into this election in the first round, topping the polls. They got 33% of the vote, more than any other party. They had expected perhaps to win the most seats in the second round, maybe even eke out a majority, and all the polls were showing that. But what happened in the last few days was the other two groups, the New Popular Front and Macron's Ensemble, kind of formed a strategic alliance, and they started pulling candidates from ridings where their candidate wouldn't do so well. That would help the other candidate do well to defeat the Rassemblement National. So it was kind of a stitch-up in many ways. Certainly that's the way the National Rally sees it. And they're mad about it. They say they were robbed. They say this was just unfair and this wasn't really the way things should have been done.
Well, you said this is unprecedented, but, you know, you've been there covering this election. So what do you see happening in the weeks going forward? What are you watching for?
Well, all eyes are on Macron and what he does, and he's not in any hurry to make a decision, clearly, because he's off to the NATO summit tomorrow, and he has not said anything so far yet today. I mean, I think what he's probably going to do is wait this out through the summer. You know, they're hosting the Olympics here in a couple of weeks.
Right.
I don't think he wants any more upheaval during that period, so that stretches through by the time the Paralympics are done into September. I expect by then, maybe the coalition on the left has kind of sorted itself out and has put forward a candidate that Macron can live with, more of one of their more moderate people. That might get them through the fall, but by law, they're not allowed to have another election here until next year. So I think the best Macron can hope for is some kind of government will kind of stumble through till next summer when he can have a whole new round of elections and maybe get some clarity out of that.
Paul, last question really quickly. So, we are calling this election result a shock, and it's been described, people saw this on their screens and they were surprised. But there are others who have said that this has happened before, where the far right has come close to victory and the left and the center and people of France gather together and they stop it from happening. So why does this time feel more surprising than the previous?
I think because they were so close this time, and because there were European elections just in June where the National Rally did very well. In fact, they beat all the other parties. And so heading into this, there was an expectation that this time they actually might succeed. They've changed their image. They moderated themselves a little bit. And they thought themselves that this would be the time when they would finally become the largest party in Parliament. And as you mentioned, though, the other parties ganged up on them and the voters said no.
Paul, great to talk to you this morning. Enjoy your day in the city there this morning.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.